Welcome to episode number 96 of the Marine Layer podcast. We welcome on Mariners outfielder Taylor Trammell, a conversation about his offseason working out at Driveline, rooming with A.J. Brown in high school, and practicing his bat flips so he can look pretty good in the highlights at the major league level. Also a conversation about Whit Merrifield, and is that idea still realistic for the Mariners at second base? We'll take a look into it.
Here's your reminder before we start the show, make sure to download our episodes, leave us a review, and follow the show if you're listening on our audio pods. If you're watching, make sure to like, comment, subscribe over on YouTube where our full video podcast is. And then check us out on social media where we're on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and YouTube Shorts at Marine Layer Pod.
Let's get it rolling.
The pitch from Acevedo. A drive deep to right field. Down the line. The Mariners win this game 2-1. The dream lives. They're going to the playoffs. There you go. Left field. We got a tie ball game. Julio. Oh, baby, what a moment.
And we welcome you to this episode of the Marine Layer podcast, part of the Just Baseball Podcast Network, recording here on Tuesday evening, January 23rd. I thought we were past this Whit Merrifield discussion.
I thought a lot of things about the Mariners' social media world and fights and debates and takes, but right when you think you're out, they pull you back in.
Isn't it funny how this story came to be? For all those who don't spend all their time online and aren't aware of how Whit Merrifield, formerly Toronto Blue Jays and Kansas City Royals second baseman, now free agent, still out there on the market, looking for options at second base or corner outfield, will be 35. Actually, Lyle, tomorrow, he will be 35 years old. It will be his birthday when this episode comes out. You remember how his name came back up with the Mariners? He went on MLB Network and uttered the phrase, "My favorite park to hit in is T-Mobile Park." And it kicked the hornet's nest again. And here we are.
How often do you hear that? People talking about my favorite place to hit is a park where you just cannot hit home runs.
I never hear it. I never. People say the opposite and they go somewhere else. I do think it's kind of on brand that a hitter with like a 700-ish, give or take, OPS for his career decides that is his favorite place to hit. It's like, well, we're the 900 OPS guys that want to say that.
In warm weather ballparks where the baseball flies.
It's probably a good idea. Or at Coors Field.
Or just in a place where they're getting paid crazy amounts of money. And we know the Mariners don't usually give out contracts like that. So one of those three options is usually the correct one. But you know what? It doesn't matter for contact hitters. It was like we said with Luis Ariz on Friday, that singles play anywhere. And for Whit Merrifield, he said the reason he likes T-Mobile Park so much is because he can see the ball well. And if you can see the ball well and you just hit singles and kind of be a contact hitter like he is, you don't need much else.
Let's put this discussion to bed. Is it a good idea for the Mariners to think about signing Whit Merrifield? Because it sounds like he'd be open to coming to Seattle.
No.
Wow.
I don't.
No clarification,
okay.
No nothing, just a no.
Okay. There should probably be some clarification. I do not think that with the Mariners' limited payroll, they are allocating their funds to the best of their ability by paying $10 or so million to Whit Merrifield. A dude who is probably going to be a bench player if he signs somewhere. He will probably be a bench guy. Maybe he'll start a couple times a week. Maybe he'll start to get some more regular starts at second base if he's playing well. But that's not a guy you pencil in every day and say, that's our guy. Not at 35 years old. Not for a guy that hasn't WRC plussed over 100 since 2020. That's just not a guy I'm interested in. We've talked about this. With this low of a payroll budget, you better use those funds wisely. And if you're going to go out and get more bats, there just has to be somebody that's going to provide more impact than Whit Merrifield is.
MLB Trade Rumor says 2 years, $18 million. That comes out to $9 million a season. So right around what Lyle estimated. Here's my take on this. Whit Merrifield should not get signed if your goal for him is to start every day and play second base or a corner outfield spot. No shot. No way. He's honestly not probably depends on the team's need, but for your average contending Major League Baseball team, he's probably not a starter. I could be wrong. Teams might think he's a starter, but I certainly don't think he's a starter on the Seattle Mariners because he just doesn't hit well enough. They need hitting, plain and simple. So that kind of answers that question. But if you want him to have a different role on a team, and he doesn't need to be a major offensive contributor. In fact, all he needs to do is play defense in multiple positions and steal bases, then someone might be a little bit more intrigued in that. And I'm trying to think of who that might be for the Mariners. Lyle, who plays multiple positions, steals some bases, and just overall tries to be a ultra utility guy off the bench. Oh, Dylan Moore? So this is going to be right along the meme where there's going to be some Mariner fans out there that are saying, well, I kind of want Whit Merrifield. He used to be pretty good. He's always been very fast in the 80th percentile or higher in sprint speed for all of his career. He could be a menace on the base paths. He'll give the Mariners an extra dimension. They could throw him all over the field. And then Jerry DiPoto comes over to that fan. He sits them down on the park bench, puts his hand on his shoulder and says, you know what, Timmy? We have Whit Merrifield at home. His name's Dylan Moore. And Timmy's all disappointed and looking down at the ground, realizing he'll never get Whit Merrifield. We're not going to the drive-thru. We're going home, and we're going to have some home cooking of Dylan Moore, Lyle.
Who doesn't love home cooking? Me, that's
some
for
people.
sure. Or not
some
me,
people.
I should say. Well, I like home cooking. And I like me some Dylan Moore. Because guess what? Dylan Moore, in case anybody needs a reminder, signed that arbitration extension last year. So he's on that 3-year, $9 million deal. He'll make about $3 million in 2024. I'd rather give Dylan Moore $3 million a year than giving Whit Merrifield 10. You know what Dylan Moore does that Whit Merrifield doesn't do? He walks. You know what Dylan Moore does that Whit Merrifield doesn't do? He actually has some power. I know it was a little bit of a down year for Demo last year, but he got hurt, came back late, probably didn't get enough minor league time to ramp up his at-bats. Yeah, give me Dylan Moore over Whit Merrifield. Thanks. I'm not interested in paying him $10 million, and I'm not interested in a guy that's going to OPS below 700 and have a WRC plus below 100. So I'm going to stick with Demo. Shocker, because I love Demo.
Lyle and I aren't guys who are going to just be over the moon if a guy strikes out too much, because as long as he's being productive, it really doesn't matter how much you're striking out. If you're not being productive and striking out a lot, then that's an issue. Demo struck out 34% of the time last year. Some people might come bang on our doors, or AKA go into our comment section and say, hey guys, why would you want a 34% strikeout rate Dylan Moore over a 17% strikeout rate of Whit Merrifield? That's a fair point. Offensive production for Dylan Moore is still better because Whit Merrifield, each of the last 3 full seasons, as you mentioned, hasn't even had a 90 WRC plus. 90. 10% below league average. He's been below that every single season. And there's no reason why Whit Merrifield is going to see that going up. Do you want to hear a stat about Whit Merrifield? And this really encompasses his aging process, which it stinks. Guys get old. It sucks. But getting old affects speed guys the most, especially speed guys with not a whole lot of power. Well, even in Whit Merrifield's prime, he was barely breaking double-digit home runs. And now, despite the fact he has an 81st percentile sweet spot percentage, by the way, sweet spot percentage means any batted ball between 8 degrees and 32 degrees of launch angle, and more likely than not, that will be an extra base hit or a barrel or something like that. So Whit Merrifield does that among the top 20% of hitters in baseball and still has a quality of contact and expected slugging, an average exit velocity, a barrel percentage, and a hard hit rate 5th percentile or lower. That's honestly kind of hard to do when you have the optimal batted ball on your bat. It still doesn't go anywhere. And that's not something that just magically comes back unless you eat a balanced breakfast and start playing left field for the San Francisco Giants, and stuff happens.
So in non-baseball nerd terms, for people that maybe didn't pick up on all the batted ball data from Baseball Savant, the most basic way we can put it is Whit Merrifield is squaring up baseballs constantly. He is squaring it up to the ability that Whit Merrifield has. He's squaring up baseballs. And they're still not traveling anywhere. So that's an issue. Because you know what happens if you're squaring up baseballs and they're not going anywhere? When you don't square up baseballs, it's gonna be even worse. So yeah, for all those reasons, I'm just not interested in having Whit Merrifield. Use the money you have left in your payroll budget to go sign an actual bat who can make some impact.
And there's a couple other things downtrending with him too. I mean, he was just last 2 seasons, -9 combined defensive runs saved at second, -7 combined defensive runs saved in the outfield. And I'm talking all 3 outfield positions combined. OAA has him below average at all 3 spots. The final 2 months of the season this past year, which is where if you're aging, it's really going to show. Whit Merrifield had a 56 WRC plus in August and a 25 WRC plus in September and October. Any team that is going to sit there and want Whit Merrifield to play every single day is going to have to realize these harsh realities that I don't know if Whit can hold up for a full season anymore, and his role might be off the bench. But if the Mariners just want a bench bat, as you said, they already have it. Dylan Moore's already on the roster. He's going to do pretty much everything Whit does. He'll steal a few less bases, but besides that, it's going to be about the same. So I'm really just gonna pass on this. So I think you and I agree with most of Mariners Twitter, which is a shock. Does not always happen.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't happen at all. And in fact, a lot of times Mariners Twitter disagrees with us. But I think we're all in unison for this one. At least that's how it sounds. Yeah. In conclusion, go sign a true impact bat, please. All right, let's take a quick pause, talk to you about our friends over at Pagotcha's Pub 85. That's Pagotcha's Pub 85 in Kirkland. We love hanging out there. They've got pool tables. They've got dartboards. They've got a full drink menu. They got great pizza. And they've got 22 TVs in that place. So you want to go hang out with your friends and watch some games, go there. And if you go during happy hour, guess what? They've got some great specials. Those are happy hours are Monday through Friday, 2 to 6 p.m. They include $3 domestic beers, $4 Manny's Blue Moons, $4 Mac and Jacks, $4 Wells, and $4 house wines. So go check that out over at Pagotcha's Pub 85 in Kirkland. Well, we had a pretty cool talk with Taylor Trammell, didn't we?
We did. I loved the insight that we got, that something I totally forgot, and the story was brought back up to us that we will bring up again in the interview. I mean, Taylor played, he spent a considerable amount of time, especially on the road on the perfect game circuit, as a lot of other high-profile high school baseball players do, with A.J. Brown, like the A.J. Brown, the one you might think of on your fantasy team. Like, it's that one. And there's a pretty fun story between Taylor and AJ, 2 high school football and baseball players in the South, and 2 guys whose careers went off into the different sports, and fun that they had that moment right there. That was so cool, and just kind of representative of how high school athletics are there in the South. They're just so much more of a concentration of elite players down there than there are anywhere else. Certainly I can speak of that in the Northwest. This is just not the case.
In the Northwest, yeah, no, not at all. I don't think any Mariners fan needs us to tell them what an awesome human being Taylor Trammell is and how outgoing and fun he is. I think you all know that. We will add that if you want to see more of that, that is certainly in this interview. Taylor Trammell is totally on brand, talking with us, outgoing, fun, sharing cool stories, everything. Like, just another really awesome conversation that we were fortunate enough to have.
All right. Let's not delay any longer. Let's get you to our conversation with Mariners outfielder Taylor Trammell.
All right, we welcome on Mariners outfielder Taylor Trammell. Taylor, I've got to start with this. Does it ever get normal spending an off season walking around a baseball facility, standing in your underwear with a bunch of sensors attached to you?
Nah. It's fun. It's kind of odd, but for the most part, it's you just kind of get used to it, and yeah, it's just weird.
So it was probably weirder though when you did it for the first time, because this is your second off season working at Driveline. The first one, did they stick a camera in your face that off season too, and after the 22 season?
Yeah, they did. Yeah, so I mean, it's a little difficult. Not difficult. It's just weird, but at the same time, it's kind of cool because like it's a very comfortable environment. So, like, I mean, I don't have to worry about feeling awkward or anything like that. But, I mean, there is a little awkwardness when you are in your underwear. So it is kind of odd.
What's it like to have all those sensors on your body?
It's weird. It's weird. They spray on this kind of like glue stuff, and it's very cold. So like, there's like certain places where I really don't like it. So like my ribs, I can't stand it, and then like on the back part of like my scap, it's just a knot. It's like I don't know, like some freeze stuff. It feels like it's cold, so I don't like it.
And then after that, they're like, "Hey Taylor, can you give us your best swing possible?" And you're looking around like, "Well,
Yeah.
you guys made it as hard as possible."
Yeah. So yeah, but I do good, so I guess I guess it works a little bit.
Does it make it a little easier considering I'm sure there's other people around you having to do the exact same thing? The kind of feeling of like, oh, well, we're all in this together.
Yeah, so I saw a few of my buddies. I see their videos and stuff like that. I can. It's kind of cool because I'm like I'm not the only person, so it makes me feel a lot better.
So we did mention this is your second off season going to Driveline. What are the things that when you were first interested in going to Driveline to work out, what were the things you wanted to check off to try and improve on in the off season? Was there anything in particular?
Yeah, one of my biggest things is just becoming a more of a complete hitter. There's always this kind of like mindset as a player. You always want to kind of just continue to improve and improve. And a few people that I've known have gone there. So I just really wanted to grow. That was the biggest thing, and then just improve on kind of like bat to ball skills. Improve on just a lot of other things. So for me, that was kind of like my biggest thing is just having another. Having another just kind of like avenue for me to just grow. So that was the biggest thing.
Were you always open to the stuff they were trying to teach you right away, or did it take a little bit of time to get acclimated? Because I know Driveline, it's so different with the stuff that they do, even though it works really well. I know it's very, very unique.
Yeah. So for me, like, I'm not going to throw out really any names, but when I first got there, there were some guys that, are, pretty big, major league players that were there that were working out there. And I saw their work and I kind of saw the things that they were doing. And I was just like, I don't know if this might work for me. Yes, maybe not. And then over time, I started to get a little bit more trust, started getting to know my coaches a little bit better. So for me, it was, it took a little bit of time, but, three weeks to a month really was kind of like where I was like, okay, I'm starting to enjoy this.
What is something they point out in your swing or your mechanics that you weren't thinking they were ever going to like, hey, Taylor, this is actually the reason why you're not doing as well. You need to change this. And you're like, oh, I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah. So just kind of like one, just, moving faster. I tested as somebody who should move kind of like a certain way. And, there was a lot to unlock with that. And so, for me, kind of like hard ball contact really, and some other things have gone, trended up in the past few seasons. And really just kind of like certain swing path things that I was just like, oh, wow, I'm swinging this way where I'm not giving myself enough room to, maximize my potential on certain, certain pitches, certain locations. So that was kind of like the biggest things.
When they say move faster, what part of you is moving faster? Because I feel like when people tell people to swing faster and coaches will always tell you, well, if you're going up there and facing velocity, don't swing harder because then your swing's going to get long and you're going to miss it. So what is moving faster?
Efficient. I don't even really think faster really, I kind of misworded that, but more efficient. So with that, if you move more efficiently, you're going to, obviously going to move faster. So there were a lot of things. So like for me personally, certain ways that I were really getting, kind of like my hips through the ball and stuff like that. I was kind of cutting myself off with certain things that I did where I might hike my leg up or get out of my base a little too fast. So like small things like that. And then now I'm able to, as far as like growing and trending up, able to move my, body more efficiently. So those are kind of like a few things that we kind of worked on.
Were you the first Mariner to go to Driveline? Because I know they talked a lot about J.P. Crawford going there last winter. Were you there with him, or had you started a little bit before him?
I think I was. Yeah, I want to say I was. Yeah, I think so. But yeah, when I saw he was there, obviously we hit together and stuff like that. So obviously being with him and few other times, like it's always good to be around those guys. And yeah, I think I may have been the first one. Yeah.
First off season to second off season working at Driveline, what's the biggest difference between the two for you?
Biggest difference right now, honestly, I confidence wise, feel a lot better. And then feel like going into this off season, I have a better kind of like understanding of what I want to achieve, and communication with those guys has just trended upwards. So those are kind of like the biggest things that I'm really, really excited about for this off season, and then obviously moving forward.
So getting into a little bit more of your journey to the big leagues, Taylor, honestly, we could go back as far as high school, and there's a bunch of things we could start with asking you in terms of your high school career. Honestly, let's start with this. Like, did you ever consider playing football over baseball? Because, I mean, dude, you scored 38 touchdowns your senior year. That's not normal.
Yeah, I did. I think it was after my junior year, I was like, yeah, I think I'm going to go play baseball. But with football, I love playing football, but Friday nights were my favorite nights. I didn't really care to go to practice, and that's where I was like, I can practice baseball and be fine, but when it came to football, not so much, because I don't know, football was just, I didn't like practice. I never really liked it. I didn't see any point in hitting during the week. Never made sense to me, but I did it, so I guess it helped out a lot.
They're like 38 like you're nearing Derrick Henry territory there. I mean, have you seen Derrick Henry's high school stuff? I mean, it sounds like you were pretty close.
I don't know how close, but I know I was close to a few other guys. But yeah, I was pretty close. I get to look back on it. It was a good hobby. I liked it.
So who is Georgia's obviously a very football-rich state? Who are the best players you got to play against?
Oh wow! I don't know if I played against him, but I know there are a few. I don't know. I really don't know. There are a few guys that went to. I know Tyler Simmons. He was there. He played at UGA. I got a whole bunch of my best friends. They're like college athletes and stuff like that. But playing against. Some guys are probably going to see this. They're going to be really upset because I don't remember some of the guys that I played against, and I kind of feel bad about it too. So I don't want to lie to you guys. I have no idea.
Did you get to play against like Trevor Lawrence, or is that a different league?
He was in a different league. So no, he was in a different classification. But I did. I actually found out. I think I was on his. Name drop. For I think when I was in high school in my senior year, I think Justin Fields was in our county, and I won county player of the year or something like that. And so I think I beat him and Trevor Lawrence and a few other guys. I thought that was pretty cool. So I can look at that and be like, that was dope.
Yeah. I'll say that's pretty cool. That's something you put up on your mantle, and we go 10 years down the line. It's like, hey, you see that guy on TV?
Yeah,
I beat him out.
Exactly.
See, all it takes is sitting to think about it for a little bit. It's like, who did I play? Oh yeah, we beat Justin Fields. That's not bad.
Yeah. Was like, did Roquan Smith play high school football in Georgia? Like, is he a Georgia guy, or is he from Florida? I don't know. He was like a good Bulldog, so you'd have to assume there's a pretty decent chance he's from Georgia.
Yeah, there's some pretty guys. There's some pretty good guys there. Yeah, but yeah, I did it.
So let me flip the question around now. Best high school baseball player you played against?
Ooh. Played against?
How how about like high school baseball player in Atlanta, I should say, Atlanta area?
Oh, that's a big question. I would say, oh man, I don't want to say against because I really, like I said, I can't really remember who I played against. I know, like, I mean, it'll be my dog Will Benson. Yeah, it'd be Will Benson with the Cincinnati Reds. He's like one of my best friends, but we played him in my sophomore year. I think he hit a walk off, kind of like run rule against us going into our spring break, and it had to have gone about 450 feet plus, and so I remember seeing that, and I was just like, that's pretty impressive. So I would say Will, because he was built like, I mean, he's 6'5", but he was just built like a man amongst boys in high school. So, and then he would go out in springtime or wintertime and then drop 30 or 40 in a basketball game. So he would probably be one of the best.
Speaking of you playing in high school and the football baseball crossover, we heard a story down the grapevine of you when you were playing at a perfect game tournament, I would imagine. We're rooming with A.J. Brown. Yes, that A.J. Brown, the wide receiver for the Philadelphia Eagles. And I think your words were something along the line of, hey, I'm pretty nice at football. And then A.J. pulls out his phone and is like, hey, here's my highlights. And you're looking and you're like, oh, well, that's pretty good. Something along those lines. Did I get all that right?
Yeah, pretty much. I was like, yeah, I play football too, man. I dabble in it a little bit. And he was like, yeah, I'm going to. I think at that time he was thinking about either Ole Miss or Mississippi State because I think he's from Starkville. And he said that, and I was like, for football? He was like, yeah, man. I was like, let me go ahead and look up this guy right quick. I don't know anything. Let me see who he is. And I saw his highlights, and I said, "Oh yeah, this guy's pretty good." And then his freshman year, I think he was playing against, I don't know, he was playing against some team or something like that. And I just saw him like dust past like a DB or something like that, and I was like, "Yeah, he didn't lie to me." And then obviously a little bit further, he was a All-American in football and baseball, so I was like, "Yeah, this guy's probably a little bit better than me at football." So yeah, it was pretty cool. That was, I always tell people that's my claim to fame right there.
I don't really remember him that much as a baseball player. Like, what was he like? I forget what position he played.
He was outfield. I think either I was in left field and he was in center, but yeah, he was an outfielder and he was cold. I mean, like fast hands, just as lightning bolt on the base pass. Like he did it all. I don't really want to give too much of a comp, but I don't want to say Bo Jackson, but like the way he was kind of built and the way he did stuff, it was Bo Jackson-esque, and I hope I'm not giving him too much credit, but it was pretty impressive.
I'm just gonna say, if I'm a catcher in the state of Georgia, or actually no, so he was from Mississippi, or wherever you guys are playing in the international tournament, and I'm waiting for a throw in from the outfield, and AJ Brown's coming down the third base line. I'll pass.
Yeah, I'm not getting in front of that.
Okay, maybe the hardest hitting question I'll ask you in this whole interview, Taylor. Did AJ Brown really make the right decision leaving baseball for football? Because I'd say it's fairly questionable, obviously.
Yeah, he made the best decision. Yeah, he I don't know what his last contract was, but yeah, he's doing pretty well for himself over there in Philadelphia. So I think I got me an AJ Brown jersey too. So yeah, he's doing pretty good.
Hopefully the sarcasm got through there. I hope, because I was like, yeah, I think AJ's doing okay.
Yeah.
Man, yeah, what a loaded group of guys you played with in high school. I mean, seriously, here's another Atlanta question for you while we're on the topic of Atlanta. I know you're a big hip hop guy. Atlanta's the hip hop capital of the whole world.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite Atlanta rapper or like a top 3 favorite Atlanta hip hop artists?
Yeah, like I kind of got away from like a lot of like hip hop, but like I would say for me, like I really like Zaytoven. I mean, I've always liked his beats. Him as a producer, like I've always liked it. Big fan of him. Dang, let me think. Yeah, I mean, like, Lil Yachty has always been kind of been my favorite rapper for the most part.
That's a classic one.
Yeah, I mean, like, I love
Well, we
Yachty.
grew up with him, Taylor. Like
Yeah.
that was like our I would say peak years of
Yeah.
that. Like we graduated high school the same year. I mean, Lil Yachty was on top of the world.
Yeah. I think he came out with Teenage Emotions. I listened to that kind of like on my way to Arizona to sign my contract. So, I mean, like, yeah. I don't really have great hip hop taste. I just listen to a lot of rappers. But I actually, this is a big thing. He's gonna love that I said this. Victor Scott, he raps, and so I don't know if I don't think he wants me to give his name out, but his name is Argo, on Apple Music, and like I think he's really good. Like, so he's another Atlanta baseball guy, but he raps as well. So I mean, he's really good. So those are really my top three. Oh, and Gunna. Sorry, I don't know why I didn't. Gunna, yeah, absolutely, yeah. Gunna and Lecrae, yeah, Gunna and Lecrae. So yeah, those are kind of like all my favorites.
What is like the hierarchy? If you were to say like a consensus among the Atlanta metro area of who are the favorite rappers are, who is the number one there?
Oh wait. Oh God, you're gonna set me up for this. I mean, Outkast, obviously, Andre 3000, Big Boy. I know back in the day when I was like coming up, Rich Gang, Rich Kids, like a lot of people don't really remember Rich Kids. I love like going back to their Shop Boys. Like I got a lot of them. Obviously you got T.I., Gucci, Thug, Gunna, Baby,
Migos.
Like you just got so many guys like out there, and like I'm speaking from kind of like now. There's a lot more obviously in the past, but I mean those are kind of like the consensus where like, all right, this guy's a goat. 2 Chainz, yeah, all those guys are goats. So I like all of them.
Okay, you mentioned going to Arizona to sign your contract. If we were going to segue just a little bit, you were a first-round pick out of high school, but was there ever any thought to, oh, I might go and play college baseball instead, despite where your draft status kind of stood? Did you give it much thought at any point to, I'll take the college route?
Yeah, I thought if certain things like I would say like financially didn't work out, I was fine with going to Georgia Tech and going 3-4 years there. Like I was perfectly fine with that. I was gonna be like I said, I was gonna be at Georgia Tech. I would have been perfectly fine because I've been close to home too, so like it wouldn't have been too bad or anything like that.
I want to, Taylor, bring you up to 2021 and your first full season in the big leagues. And I'm going to credit Lyle for remembering this moment a little bit better than I did, but I'm going to ask the question for him anyways. So June 26th, 2021, you guys are playing in the south side of Chicago. It's a doubleheader. Game 1, you had your first 2 home run game of your big league career, and you came up in the 9th inning against Liam Hendricks, and you hit this enormous go-ahead solo home run, and you let off just this enormous bat flip. It must have been an unbelievable feeling to you. Yeah. But to tie it back to everything we've talked about in this podcast for over a year, of the fact that the guy in the opposing dugout, Tony La Russa, has been pretty adamant in his career about no bat flips and respect and all that, and you come up with a big moment, and you as well documented as being a more outgoing, expressive player, to have a moment like that. I mean, how did that feel? And did you understand what was in the opposing dugout potentially watching you doing that?
No, not at all. Like, this might sound bad to say, but like, I really don't know anybody in baseball. Like, I know people, obviously, but like, if you were telling me about certain, like somebody or something like that, I'd be like, oh, cool. He puts on pants the same way I do each morning. Like, I don't really put like too much like thought into like so much stuff. And like, I didn't realize it. But here's the thing. When it happened, I was like hype. I was like, let's go. I was happy. And then we had a doubleheader. What people really don't know is that we had a doubleheader the next game, like the next day. Well, that day. So we had to play again. And I got hit. So, like, I got, like, they got the get back. So, like, I wasn't, like, obviously I wasn't too happy about it because I was like, I thought it was a cool moment. Like, I didn't try and show up anybody. Like, I have the ultimate respect for Liam Hendricks. Like, I wasn't really thinking much about it. And then we won the game. So, like, I was happy. But, yeah, I got hit, and I wasn't too happy. But nobody really was, like upset. So I was like, oh, I don't want to overreact. So I was like, whatever.
Okay, so you probably had a lot of bat flips in your career. Is that one number one? Do you have another one in another moment that you think is a little bit better?
Oh, wow. No, I can't talk about that one. Sorry. I got probably, I don't know. I think that may have been the best one. Yeah, I think that may have been the best one.
So let me ask you this. How do you even think of that bat flip where you basically pinwheel the bat, you catch the barrel with one hand, and then wrist flick it toward the dugout? Because I've never seen that. I absolutely loved it when you did it. I just thought to myself, that's the first time I've ever seen something like that. So how do you even come up with that, I guess?
So it was actually a mistake because, like, I don't know about anybody else in baseball, but, like, I practice my bat flips. I do a lot of visualizations and stuff like that. Like, I practice it. Like, sometimes it's just the heat of the moment, or sometimes it's just like, oh, like, I don't want to do something. I want to do it, like, kind of subtly. So, like, I don't want to do it where it's like, oh, I planned this. It's like, okay, this is just how my back foot was, and I just kind of tossed the bat. But I was actually trying to just, like, flip it, but I had pine tar on my hand, and so it stuck to my hand. So I flipped it, and it was like, oh, shoot, I got to catch this because I'm not about to get hit in the foot with this. So I caught it, and I was like, I can do something cool with this. And I just tossed it. I was like, oh, that's going to be so sick. So that's kind of like what I thought right at that moment.
Is that how you've always played the game, just kind of like freeing and expressive?
Absolutely.
That's always been you?
Yeah, I try to play the game. It's kind of funny because, like, the way I play it is I don't think that there's cameras on me at all times. Like, I just kind of play it as if, like, I'm just out here. I'm just kind of playing just by myself for the most part and just kind of doing my job. So yeah, that's kind of how I just play it.
Well, I know you've talked about on MLB Network, and I guess that was parlayed with a Players Tribune article you wrote a while back. You talked about a lot of people used to tell you they felt like baseball is boring. So I guess is being true to yourself and, like you said, practicing your bat flips and playing with flash, is that you essentially doing your small part to help grow the game?
I don't think it's so much of me trying to grow. I think for me, it's more of just kind of being myself. And then, like, in return, like, say if a player is, like, you know, a little bit more expressive or he may be a little bit more conservative, it's okay to do that because there's a lot of players that I know that are very just kind of like reserved. There's a lot of players that I know that are very expressive. You know, like, I try to do it. I try to just be like kind of as like me as possible each and every time I go out there. So, like, there's some things like people are like, oh, this dude might be a little weird, but I do it just because I feel comfortable in my skin to do certain things that I enjoy and help me to go out there and perform the best I can.
I'll say part of that for you, Taylor, too, is off the field as well. I know you like to have fun on the field, but off the field, I mean, you're a funny guy, you're an expressive guy, and there's a story about when you were traded to the Mariners and you played a joke on Jerry Dipoto. You pretended like you had no idea what he was talking about when he was introducing himself, or however much you want to shed on that conversation. Like, how was that joke? How did you play it out?
Yeah, it was pretty funny. You know, I think I've kind of matured a little bit more. I don't think I'll do that again. Then that just kind of goes back to what I said, where I don't really put I don't I know people in baseball obviously, but like I feel like everybody's kind of like on this. You know, we all do the same thing. You know, we're all humans at the end of the day, so like I try to like keep everything as loose as possible. So I just got traded, and I get a call from obviously AJ Preller. He tells me about it, and then the next call I think I got was from Jerry, and he was like, "Hey, Taylor Trammell." He was like, "This is Jerry DePoto. Just want to welcome to the Mariners and everything like that." And I said, "Sorry, excuse me," and he was like, "Oh, nobody told you?" And I was like, "Okay, I was just messing with you, dude. Like, I'm sorry about that." He thought it was funny. So for me, it was just like, oh, this is, obviously a funny interaction. Just to let them know, like, it's loose. I'm not as serious as people. I don't know if anybody thinks I'm serious, but it was a lighthearted joke, and it was pretty cool.
Okay, so I guess I'm just so fascinated by how you got into the headspace of let's do this in terms of a prank. Because I have to imagine getting traded and getting life-changing news like that. Like, that's got to take you in a bunch of different places in terms of where your mind's at. You're thinking of new place to live, new team, new teammates. But for you, you get into the headspace of, you know what? It's like when Seattle calls, I'm going to mess with them. Like, so how did you think about that quickly?
It was really in the spur of the moment, but then it was also like, at that time, it was the second time I had been traded in 2 years. So I was just like, okay, that's already one thing on itself. And then it was COVID. So I was like, that's another one on top of itself. So I was just like, might as well have some fun with it, I guess. So it was pretty cool. But I think it was when I got the phone call, I was just kind of listening. And then I was like, oh, I can say this would be kind of funny. And so that's kind of like how it went.
And how did Jerry take the joke?
Oh, he thought it was hilarious. I hope he thought it was hilarious.
I heard a little snippet of Jerry telling the story either on a podcast or on the radio, and he sounded like he thought it was pretty funny. So for whatever that's worth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Taylor, you have a foundation, the Tram Foundation. You've been doing a lot of work with that. You want to tell our listeners a little bit about what you do and what your goal is and where they can find it?
Yes. So the Tram Foundation, we're on social media now on Twitter and Instagram. We are currently working more on building our foundation. It's pretty cool. We started our foundation this year around December 9th. That was the launch, and it was a wonderful event. We had it in Atlanta, and then we also raised toys for Children's Healthcare of Atlanta. And so it was a wonderful event, being able to go into Children's Healthcare of Atlanta and getting to distribute all the toys. We got to hang out for about, I think, 4 or 5 hours, really, with the kids, to be around them. It was a blast, and just to kind of see their faces, for us at least, and being able to share the pictures and talking to the people who donated. They loved that. The toys that they got, brought joy to all the kids that were there. And, you just see it and you're just like, this is just such an amazing event. And like I said, whenever you see a smile on kids' faces, it's one of the best feelings ever.
That's really awesome. Is that the most rewarding thing you've done all off season? I'd have to assume yes.
Absolutely.
So what are your goals with it moving forward as you guys continue to progress with it?
Yes, we want to, obviously, we want to build it up. We want, for me, honestly, just obviously raising enough, a lot of money for, obviously, the kids in our community. And, for me, at least, just building up, like I said, this is a community thing we're children's based. So, building up the youth in our community. So obviously, like holding camps, being able to, hold on certain showcases, just being able to sponsor kids, because baseball is it's a pretty expensive sport. So being able to sponsor those kids throughout that time is, for me, that's kind of like where I want to build it to. And then some of my other friends, they have their foundations as well. We're looking to obviously probably partner with them and do pretty good amount of things with those guys.
Which social media platforms are you guys on?
We're on Instagram and Twitter. Well, X.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. So guys, go find it.
Yes.
Yeah. For anybody listening, go check it out. It's the Tram Foundation. It would mean a lot to us if you guys did it, and I know it would mean a lot to Taylor too. So go check it out. Okay, Taylor, we usually wrap up with 5 pretty fun questions with a bunch of the players before we totally finish the interview. So we've got 5 for you to wrap this up, and they're just ways to let the fans get to know you a little bit better. The first one we've got for you is your go-to pregame and postgame meal is what?
Oh, I love a good steak. So anytime. Oh no, fried rice. Yeah, fried rice. Fried rice.
Pregame? Is
Yeah.
that not a little heavy?
A little bit. A little bit of it is not too bad.
Okay.
All right. I respect. I love both those things, so works out.
Steak and fried rice. Yes.
And then what do you like to have after the game?
Mashed potatoes and a nice fillet. Yeah, mashed potatoes and a nice fillet. Or chicken. Chicken or fillet, but mashed potatoes for sure.
So I'm picking up that you're a pretty big steak guy.
Love steak. Love steak.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Love it.
Next question, Taylor, is your top 3 favorite TV shows ever?
The 100. Yeah, the 100 up there. TV shows. I would say the I don't know. I have no idea. I'm sorry.
To be honest, Taylor, like, yeah, I was gonna say, like, I love the 100 when I watch it. I never expected somebody else on this podcast to say it was one of their top 3 shows ever. So I'm glad you did. It's awesome.
I love the 100. Yeah, I love the 100. We can. Yeah, let's do 100. Game of Thrones and I don't know the last one. I would say The Office, but I don't really want to say The Office.
Too cliche.
Yeah, because it's not my favorite, but it's a good one. So,
Oh, I was just gonna wait a second. Okay, there we go. You know what? We can all relate on Game of Thrones. All 3 of us have seen that. I think it's a consensus. We all love it. It sounds like I need to watch the 100. I feel like I've been the odd man out a lot of times on these TV shows when people talk about them. So I got to catch up. But anyway, third question for you: the best and worst baseball road trip you've ever made. This can include the minor leagues, by the way.
Oh, worst one probably. We went from Billings, Montana to Grand Junction, Colorado. I think it had been. I think it was was it 13 hours or 20 hours? I don't know how long it was, but I know that my back was so messed up on that trip. We got off and I couldn't really stand up, and it had to have been one of the worst. So yeah, that one.
Okay. And how about the best road trip you've made?
Ooh, Houston. I think Houston has one of the best hotels that we've stayed at. And it's the Post Oak. It'd be Houston easily.
Okay, I got to quickly follow up to that because you mentioned the hotel's really nice. I think we've asked a couple other guys this too. Like, are the hotels the way you dream about them as a kid? Like, does it live up to that as a big league ball player?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I think about like Mike, and when Calvin Cambridge was ordering room service, and he was like, "Oh, you get all this for free," and he was like, "For free." He was like, "For free." He was like, "For free." And so, like, I think about that all the time. Obviously, it's not for free. Like, it's not, but I love it. Yeah, that was one of my, that's kind of like where I'm just like, I love, like, getting room service and, like, good room service is, I never thought I could be that spoiled, but it's something that I never knew that I really wanted, but I do.
Okay, Taylor, your favorite all-time baseball player?
Yeah, it'd probably, can I give 2?
Sure.
Yeah.
All right, it'd probably be Dexter Fowler and Curtis Granderson. I love those are really the guys that made me kind of really get into baseball, and I don't even know if they know it, but like those 2 guys are really the guys that really made me feel like, hey, like you can do this. So I thought that was those 2 guys really made me want to play the game.
All right,
I love
like
that. Yeah. And last one for you: if you weren't playing baseball, what do you think you'd be doing?
I'd probably be an engineer like my brother. That's kind of like, probably mechanical or petroleum. I was going to Georgia Tech to become an engineer, but everybody said it was going to be a grind. But I was thinking about doing it, so I'd probably be doing that.
So moral of this podcast, Taylor Trammell way smarter than the two of us, because I'll tell you what, we did not go to Arizona State to major in engineering. I can tell you that. No, that's really cool though. Taylor, you're the man. This has been awesome getting to sit down and talk with you for a little bit. We really appreciate it, and we certainly hope we can do it again soon.
Absolutely. Like I said, guys, I really enjoy you guys. You guys are awesome. Thank you guys for reaching out, man. This is pretty cool. And I don't know, are you guys going to be out in spring training?
Yeah,
yes,
we should be out there about the like the first week of March or so. So yeah, we'll have to catch up then.
Oh, okay, perfect. Yeah. So let me know. Like I said, I'd love to come on again. You guys keep it free and easy out here. I really enjoy that.
Really appreciate Taylor Trammell taking some time to join us. Before we wrap up the show, a quick word from BetterHelp. Is something interfering with your happiness or preventing you from achieving your goals? Regardless if you have a clinical mental health issue like depression or anxiety, or you're just a human who's living in this world who's going through a hard time, therapy can give you the tools to approach your life in a very different way. And that's why I'm excited to tell you about today's sponsor, BetterHelp. BetterHelp's mission is to make therapy more affordable and more accessible. And this is an important mission because finding a therapist can be really hard, especially when you're limited to options in your area. BetterHelp is a platform that makes finding a therapist easier because it's online, it's remote, and by filling out a few questions, BetterHelp can match you with a professional therapist in as little as a few days. It's easy to sign up and get matched with a therapist. There's a link in our description. It's betterhelp.com/marinelayerpod. That's betterhelp.com/marinelayerpod. Clicking the link helps support this podcast, but also gets you 10% off your first month of BetterHelp so you can connect with a therapist and see if it helps you. So if you're struggling, consider online therapy with BetterHelp. Click the link in the description or visit betterhelp.com/marinelayerpod.
Well, Taylor Trammell is certainly a joy. Just sitting there, getting to talk to him, letting him go on about everything we teed him up for. He's so much fun. I think everybody's known that about him since he got traded over here. But it's just very cool that now we've gotten to experience it firsthand and see that it's all very true. He is real, he's genuine, and he is truthfully very, very funny.
Imagine the kind of stones you need when the president of baseball operations that just traded for you, you decide to prank him. First time meeting him, you're like, I'm gonna mess with this guy, and he did. And luckily, Jerry's got a personality in himself, and he's not gonna get all uptight about it and hold it over Taylor's head. Which I know there are some people in Major League Baseball that would do that if some 21-year-old stood you up like that when you traded for him, but Jerry played it off okay. And I was like, give credit to Taylor. I mean, he takes that into his baseball playing and really just not caring about what he does on the field. He's just going out there to play and have fun, and I think it shows.
Yeah. In the sense of he is very true to himself. I think that's the best way to put it. He's very true to himself. He doesn't shy away from, being who he is and having fun. And you heard him, he practices bat flips. Like that's so cool. It just shows you the difference of all these different players. Some guys just don't really think about it. Some guys are very in the moment. Taylor's like, oh no, I want to practice it. And I think we respect that and appreciate that a bunch. So Taylor was awesome. We love getting to talk to him. And hopefully we'll get to catch up with him again in spring training. And we should add, we're rooting for, obviously, nothing but the best for him. We know he's got more than got the tools to figure it out. Hopefully this is the year that things really start to click for him. You know what? With all the stuff he's been doing at Driveline, gets into spring training healthy. Who says this can't be his year? It would be awesome if it was, and we're certainly rooting for it. Okay. That'll just about wrap up this edition of the Marine Layer podcast. You guys know the drill. You want to listen to the full form podcast, you can do so wherever you get your audio pods. Make sure to download, leave us a 5-star review, follow the show, like, comment, subscribe on YouTube where our full video podcast is, and then follow us on social media. We're on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and YouTube Shorts at Marine Layer Pod. That's TJ. I'm Lyle. As always, we thank you guys for tuning in. We'll talk to you soon.